Fun times my Saturday night and Erin's early Saturday morning, because we are so busy with our daily lives. We've got to find these interesting times to have friendship date night conversations. So this is as follows. So Erin, how are you doing?
I'm good, doing well. How are you?
Fantastic. Exciting times here. I don't want to brag, but we think we're nearly close to being able to get a cleaner in. So, we're at that level where it's, you can't even ask a cleaner to come in because with
Oh
that
yeah.
with that homely, let's just put this in positive terms so I don't trigger anyone, including myself. So yeah, so we're close. We're close to being able to be confident to be able to get professional help with the domestic wear. So yeah, it's a big step. I'm pretty proud of ourselves.
I know we're like really fascinating characters that we talk, we talk about Downton Abbey and cleaning and yeah, all this wonderful stuff. But as anyone who is responsible of housework knows, that's a big deal. Having your house clean, it's like the weight of the world is off your shoulders for like a solid few days.
Considering I used to be the person that would pre-clean for the cleaner, now like I've got totally different standards. The old Joe, while she was deep in fear, worry, and insecurities, she had a clean house, so I can respect that woman. And I kind of wish some of her could come back and play. But yeah, the new version of Joe now is got different priorities and is comfortable with that, and so I don't mind laughing about myself and the state of our domestic bliss.
Funny.
So tell me what's happening with your work and what are you noticing?
Oh, okay. So, to explain my position, I work for like a middle-sized company, and I am involved with a lot of, well, I am in management and I'm involved in personnel issues. So, this last week has been especially interesting, and of course, I'm able to see it from like I can step back and view what's actually happening, and there's a trend I'm seeing. Lots of people are in my opinion, the ones who we would call asleep, um, I think they're feeling it. They're feeling the change. They're feeling uneasy. It's coming out in different ways with different people. What I've noticed at work is that some people are really diving deep into work now all of a sudden, thinking that if they feel very uh, in control of their work life and on top of their work life, that it would ripple out to everything else that they're experiencing is what I'm sensing. But they're all, like so many people are asking for like significant raises, significant, like at least a quarter or third of what they make annually. They would like that much more now, please. And so from the metaphysical perspective, I'm looking at it like, oh, okay, I see what's going on. They think this is what's going to fix their problem. Um, so a lot of that has been happening at work.
Well, it's just reminded me of what we are kind of expecting for humanity at this time is the professionals to sort of stand up and call bullshit when they see bullshit, right? And in terms of in New Zealand, I know that the nurses, for example, the nurses union, have always been wanting better conditions, better pay rates, and a whole lot of other things. And there's always been this ongoing tension between the government and the nurses union, and they often can go on strikes. Um, anyway, there is some rumors supposedly that our ICU units, our intensive care units, are just full of those people who haven't been inoculated. We know that's not the truth. We know that many people are having profound reactions from the inoculations that is causing them to be in intensive care. So, where is these honest nurses? being honest about what they are seeing, what they're noticing,
Hmm.
how are they sharing their truths. And so, of course, today when I saw that finally the Nurses Association has accepted a lovely pay raise and some other conditions, it makes me question where their integrity for humanity lays when they've just lined their pockets.
That's a good question. Yeah, that was a really good question. I did have an experience at work with one of my bosses I thought would be interesting to bring up. People are probably experiencing the same thing with people in their lives. My boss decided well, he is in the camp of I'm doing everything I'm told. If everyone did everything that they are being told, then everything is going to go back to normal. So everyone needs to do what they are told. Although what is being told is he's having an internal battle because he doesn't agree with the overreach. He doesn't actually agree, but he's clinging so hard to his day-to-day life and wanting everything to get back to normal. He's so focused on that. And so he's angry at people who are holding that up. And at work, um, I'm I don't know. I'm the light worker for the office, let's put it that way. So people will come in and talk to me, and now I'm able to like actually help them. And he decided to get the inoculation, which again surprises me because he at first was like calling out BS before I was even like awake. He was like, "These numbers are BS. That's not true." And da da da. Anyway, he decided to get it. He is trying so hard to justify um, his actions, and again, as we feel, we know whatever you do, if you get it, if you don't get it, just be happy with your decision. Whatever gives you peace. I mean, I'm all for it. I'm not pressuring people one way or another. It's a personal decision. So, anyway, he was in my office for, hours venting, but he was and he can be obsessive, and I know that about him. Very fixated, and I know he is, and like rabbit holes to the max. So I can identify that in other people, and he's definitely one of them. So I could tell he was working so hard to justify his actions to make himself feel better. And he wanted well, when he was venting to me, I can tell he wanted to get these feelings out. So I was listening, I was attentive, I was listening. But he was contradicting himself so much so that he was like, well, it shouldn't be a political choice. It shouldn't be based on who you voted for. It should be a medical decision. And I said, I absolutely agree. It should be a medical decision. It should be a personal decision. And he said, well, and he was justifying where he gets his information from. Well, I'm looking at actual numbers. I have got like the best. This is literally what he said. Like, I'm looking at the best websites with the most up-to-date data. And he's like, I'm not looking at memes. I'm not looking at weird YouTube videos, these conspiracy theorists. And so I said, I'm happy you got it because you're really happy with your decision. And that's great. But everyone has their own decision to make. And it is not up to you to judge where they get their information and if it's a legitimate source for you or not. It's not your call. So he was complaining about someone else in the office, and I was like, it doesn't matter if it's a political decision, if he's deciding based on what color tie he's wearing that day, if he's going to get it. It's not up to you to decide if his sources are valid. And I know it was my role to question him. I know that's what I was supposed to do. I listened, I let him vent, and I pointed out very lovingly without triggering him that not his role or his right to be judging other people based on their own personal health decision. So I knew I was supposed to plant a seed. I reassured him that he made his choice and he's happy with it, and that's great. And other people have the right to do so as well. He was also very focused on, well, why can't people, they need to get back to work. They need to follow the mandates. And I said, this is not a health decision. I said, no one's going to tell me what to do with my body. I was like, the government's not going to tell me what to do. an employer's not going to tell me what to do. It's my choice. And so just gently explain to him that it's bigger than this decision is bigger than a paycheck for a lot of people, and that's their right to feel that way. So anyway, I knew that was my role, and I wanted to give another example of how we can lovingly, without triggering someone, point that out. I did not sit there. This guy was my boss, by the way. I did not sit there and say, yeah, totally, I get it. Yeah, no, I wasn't. I was pointing it out lovingly without triggering him, trying to plant a seed. So I did want to give that as another example because people are probably going through the same thing.
Mm. Yes, well, it's kind of like once they've made that decision, then they will justify it any which way, to make them feel comfortable. And ultimately, we want everyone to feel comfortable. It's not us to freak them out with scary theories. I mean, obviously, we know the trump card of what to scare the bejesus out of people and talk to them about the shift to a new earth. I mean, let's get our perspectives. Let's focus on what we should be worrying about, right? So, yes, it is interesting. I do feel very sorry for those people who have been coerced. It's already been such a tremendous, 2 years. They don't understand why everything has been turned upside down. They're terrified that they can't get income. I can't even comprehend for those families who were struggling during the lockdowns, how they survived with children. I was so sympathetic and concerned about the children whose parents were not trained teachers, and don't really know how to deal with children for a month or so on end while you're struggling financially. And then just because I wanted to worry about humanity, the extra level, I imagined that these parents were somehow drug addicts and were overwhelmed with the scare of their mortality with this virus. So they would use their drug addictions extremely to just be able to disassociate with what was going on, even though their children were with them. So yeah, I was going like dark and horrible, just so I could feel miserable about the world in my spare time. As
Sounds fun.
as one does, because you don't want to start empowering yourself. You don't want to start looking at what you've got and what you don't have. And so you always want to find a worst case scenario. So I was creating absolutely worst case scenarios where I could just feel hopeless and just feel like the world was just never going to help itself, and humanity is so cruel and thoughtless. And in New Zealand, we have this current website which displays a number of tallies of how many people commit suicide per year, but it's sort of like it was a regular updated thing just to let people know that this is a real problem and it's growing daily. During our first COVID lockdown, that website somehow got taken offline, and I would be a strong believer to think that there were more people that committed suicide during our first lockdown than those who actually died from, in quotation marks, the current trend to be worried about and buy fear into. So there's so much to be said about it. It's definitely not for health. I can't actually see any true, honest health discussions about this pandemic, in my small world. So pardon me. I mean, I know people who have been tested positive for it, but it's always something else. The subconscious,
Yeah.
Mr. Subconscious, Mr. Know-it-all, will tell my clients who are deep in fear that they've got COVID, what actually is going on for them. It's quite a relief, but it's makes them feel a little bit sort of like, oh, of course, I should have guessed it wasn't that. But we all panic as soon as things happen in our bodies. We all think it's some sort of concoction of cancer, Ebola, or AIDS that we have stumbled across. And some, do you notice like how many medical programs and dramas there are? And it's just indoctrination, I'm assuming, to make us feel that these people are basically just gods on this
Oh,
planet
it's
that
so true.
know the nuances of all the diseases we can collect. And you know what? Like, if someone did want to have a serious conversation with me about how our governments are truly trying to protect us, I would like to have a conversation with them about sugar.
Hmm. 1000%. And also, you know what, like has been a sticking point for me. Why, why wasn't personal budget management a part of our schooling?
Well, probably is.
Like it's
It is for some children. Maybe you were just like wagging that day.
no, there's totally not. There's not. The school system in the US does not teach about finance,
Really?
personal or public.
My God. Well, yeah, maybe it's because your tax system's corrupt.
That could be.
Yeah, don't educate them. Well, in New Zealand, we have got, accountancy and a whole lot of stuff. Interesting, yeah. So, but then, didn't we hear in a session the other day, we think we know our history?
Oh, I'm so looking forward to it. Like I literally have a list in my head going of things that I want to learn about. So I'm just like, I'm not even bothering because it's like anything we can get our hands on is not the true history. So when they were saying that, it made me made my heart flutter with joy because I'm so excited to learn all about
Yeah,
everything.
yeah. And I'm going to share a private thing just because I know it's topical and I don't want to name who also has been discussing this with me. But when I was young and dumb and judgmental little bitch, more than just the weekends, it was a full time job. Um, we had, obviously we had twins, and I was trying to teach them to share and to be empowered, and they were dressing themselves at 2, and they were, really little ladies that I was really proud of to be able to face the world in all its glory. And I love the Montessori approach about empowering the child to do everything themselves, and so allowing them to make those choices and blah 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 blah. So that was my hero's work. And then at the weekends, their father would not be at work, and so he would be there. And they would go to him to get them dressed and to do the things that I already know they were fully capable of doing. They were just seeing the pushover and taking the easy road. And it used to really irk me because I was like, oh, this is not going to go backwards. This is all my hard work. I've been trying to empower them to be, snazzy dresses and confident at brushing their teeth without being asked and prompted, blah, 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 right? And so it used to really irk me that he was doing this approach. And it got to the point where I snapped and I actually asked about it in a session. And I honestly thought the subconscious would be like, oh my God, yeah, Joe, like, man, what a bad guy he is. Like I honestly was expecting the subconscious to be like, Team Joe. And it wasn't. And I was like, I'm triggered. Like, what? What other perspective could there possibly be? It's only my perspective, right? Just me, how I want to raise my children. And then, anyway, so I had a bit of humble pie because the subconscious was like, what you don't see happening is that while you're training them to be empowered and do things by themselves, for themselves, with great confidence, they're learning from their father that if they ever have a problem, they're going to someone, they'll actually get supported and nurtured and helped and assisted. And even though they know they can do it, they're just making sure that another adult is there for them to help them and assist them. And I was like, damn your genius wisdom, subconscious. I wanted to be angry and feel like a victim to this, and now I realize I'm the jerk.
That's a really good perspective.
I
Had
wish I
not
had that
occurred.
perspective. I wish I had it. I wish I could be like, oh, it's so purposeful. And we would just, it's different spectrums and different choices and blah, blah, blah. And no, I was, stubborn and thought my way was the best because I had spent all that time in the pregnancy with them. And because I had spent all of that time, because he would, leave home before they woke up and got home, 15 minutes before they went to bed. That was kind of it. It was long, hard days, and we don't have family, and we had, we do have some twin friends and some antenatal group friends, but that was just kind of, talking over a coffee about how we've survived another week kind of thing. It wasn't like, home help or anything, and it was, it was a lot. And so I had this stupid arrogance that they were my children. I had full responsibility to make sure that they were, not being lazy and not, all that nonsense. And now I'm like, oh, it's so, and you know what? Like the best thing I could do with learning that information, even though I was embarrassed. I was like, oh man, that's a game changer. Like then I was like, instead of angry with him, I was like, I love him doing that because I realized as a child, I always wanted to be able to go to a parent and know that they listened to me, that they would help me, they would engage with me. And it's like, oh my, like it's the best thing I've ever wanted for my children. And I didn't even see it. It was literally right in my face. And I'm sitting there like judging him as if he's like, breaking them. And I just, and so what I did afterwards, after I got over myself and felt really embarrassed and was so grateful for that perspective because it released me in my bitterness and my judgmental, it was aging me, Erin. It was aging me. And so I actually had to confront him and say, I'm actually really sorry because I've just learned something in a session that I was not prepared to even consider. And I'm so grateful I've learned this. And I want to apologize to you because I was seeing your actions as disempowering them. And it did not even come across my radar that what you were actually teaching them is to be able to trust that they always have your support. I love that. I love that so much, and I was completely oblivious to it. But of course, he was so triggered that I had seen it a different way. He got a little bit triggered himself, and it was like, the beautiful moment of me like apologizing to him kind of turned into another reaction. But I didn't react to it. I could feel like I should have known his intentions. I should have trusted that everything he's doing for our children is the best that he can do. He loves the girls so much, without a doubt. And yet, why did I misread that? Why did I misjudge that? I mean, I want to blame hormones. I want to blame lack of sleep. I want to blame, 1,000,000,000 things. All I can blame is myself. I can accept that was my perspective, my limited perspective. And, I've definitely grown from that. And the wedge that I was starting to feel building up between him and I as I was judging him, scrutinizing every which way he wasn't parenting like me, I've grown.
Wow. Yeah, that's a really good perspective.
Thank
Yeah.
gosh.
I could see how a lot of people fall in that trap. In fact, I know a lot of people fall in that trap. So, wow. It's nice to be able to see. It's nice whenever like bravo to the people that are um on the self-empowerment journey and able to step back and see things from another perspective.
Mm. Well,
Because it's just it's very peaceful and it's very freeing. And whenever you can like remove the emotions and the reactionary part of, I mean, everyone has it. Whenever you can, you know, tame that beast.
Yeah,
It's so nice seeing different perspectives, and I bet a lot of people are like, this is a newfound thing for them, being able to be like, "Oh, wow, yeah." Seeing things from other points of view and from the metaphysical perspective with everything that's going on right now.
totally. I was reacting to him because I had assumptions of how he should be behaving. And so I was taking it really personally. I was taking it as if he was undermining my own parenting skills and what I was teaching our children, as if he wasn't trusting me that I was doing the best for them. So it's a really layered experience, and I'm really grateful for it, because if I hadn't have been that effing triggered to like bitch and moan to the subconscious, and then he did this, like then he listened to them, and they were tricking. They totally can put on their jackets, but he just put on their jackets as if they couldn't. It was like I obviously realized that I was wanting more recognition of what the girls could do, and I was wanting that acknowledgement from him to see what they're capable of. But then I feel like he was so disconnected because he was working so much. There's so many layers to it, but realizing the truth and the agenda that he had, oh, freedom, absolute freedom. And then I realized I could actually step away and not try to hover, and not only be a helicopter to my children, but be a helicopter co-parent to to the father, which is, we've been together for 13 million years,
Hmm.
well, people may take it literally, but no, just 13 current years. I'm not too sure what that is in dog years. I think I've aged him. I mean, can you imagine this? Can you imagine this hot package? And so once I started, releasing all of my insecurities and worries and all that sort of stuff, was because I was doing more of this work. So of course he thought, oh my gosh, finally she's balanced and neutral and normal, and not so hypersensitive and like an OCD cleaner of the house and blah 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 blah. And then where do I go in that direction? Metaphysics. Oh,
Yeah.
I bet you he was wishing for those old insecure days of Joe. Because when I started learning how to use my voice, oh my gosh, it was like bunny hopping, like up and down the street. It came in so like I used my voice. It was like so strong. They were like, I used to have like a little mini voice where I couldn't stand up for myself, and I was like, I just don't know if maybe possibly it could be that I maybe like pink. Like it was like I was so insecure of like even my own decisions and choices. I was really that ridiculously meek, and I couldn't stand up for anything. And then they'd started working on my voice and removing the blocks from my voice, and holy shoot burgers, like it scared me what was coming out of my mouth, because it was just like accuracy of my opinions and thoughts. And it was like a Ferrari came out. Well, actually it was more like I want to say a dragon, but not fiery, but it was not shy. And I think he really like stopped and was like, oh, what's going on now here with this? Like
Yeah.
this must be just a new hobby. Have you watched some sort of motivational TV? Like, what is the latest Housewives doing at the moment? Like, what are they teaching you? And I was like, this is scary me, because I'm not afraid to speak my truth. And so I was starting to say things to him about like how I misread his agenda for the girls, and I can now see his true intention. I'm really grateful for that, because I love that for him. So it was, yeah. He has been on this journey as well with me, and as we were saying before, Erin, when women go through pregnancies and then we give birth, the whole thing's pretty like it's magical, but it's also quite traumatizing. It's overwhelming. There's a lot of things going on, and everyone celebrates the mother. There is no seeing the push gift. Like no one honors the father who's had to witness potentially 40 hours of this intensive miracle happening. And the fathers can be just as traumatized for various other reasons. And we sort of ignore them in their roles. There is no support person present. There is no, everything's focused on the baby and the mother. And there's so much disconnect of our empowering of men. I mean, of course, there is amazing active men who can assist with the births and can be a part of so many things, but it depends on the peer pressure of their communities and what if they can allow their voices to be heard in their positions. Everyone sort of seems to be too polite to stand up for themselves and ask, actually, I'd like to be involved in X, Y, and Z. So, gosh, we're really getting off topic if there was even a topic of this conversation.
Yeah. This is how it goes now. I mean, anyone who's listening, love you. And yeah, this is just how it is.
Yeah, yeah. And I just wanted to say, like, with the mandates that are coming out, which are just merely press releases, I would be very interested to see actual any real law that is following through with this, because I think it's very interesting scare tactics, which sound very, very, very real. And as we have seen overseas, I think the UK promised that they would have these travel mandates, and they said the dates. It was very serious, very firm. Everyone rushed to be able to get themselves to travel. And then, they came back and said, oh, this is embarrassing. We can't actually make it law. There is no statutes there for us to be able to demand this on our constituents. So, be careful of what you are being tried to be sold. I know it sounds very scary. I know lots of things are changing, but are they? Just because you hear it on the news may not be true.
True. And it's well, I'm absolutely certain this is intentional and purposeful, but you know, Sweden, they're went back to open everything, never did mandates, never pushed vaccine, and they don't, I mean, they're business as usual. And then states here are taking different approaches. Um, well, it appears are taking different approaches, let's say that. My state yesterday came out swinging against punishing employers who are enforcing that mandate. Other states are as well starting to be very vocal with that and starting to sue because they are saying that the mandates are not actually constitutional and can't be enforced. And, a boundary is being crossed, which we all know it is.
Mm.
But anyway, I'm sure that's extremely purposeful to show the different
Well, you
approaches and results and
yeah.
all that good stuff.
Well, I think, at this point, people should start learning how to do their own research. And so when you've been told one thing, and if you may know, like, for example, if you are in an HR position and all your employees are running to you asking how things are going, you know the law there. You know they can't do that. There's so many, employment law contracts and protections. It's
But it's so like but people are so, gosh, even as employers, like I don't know if it's because people are trying to justify their own decisions and then pressuring other people. That's what I'm sensing is people in the higher up positions have felt pressured to make their own, to do it themselves, and now are feeling iffy about it. So then are turning up the heat to justify their own actions, like turning up the heat for their own employees. And this is what I have a problem with. Like, I don't care what you decide, but it's your decision and you should not be peer pressuring anyone. You should be happy with whatever decision that they make, not making anyone feel stupid. But anyway, so it just feels like, yeah, a lot of peer pressure from the powers in charge of, some company or whatever. It just appears that way. Yes, there are plenty of laws that in the Constitution, the US Constitution, that it completely contradicts. But yeah, I don't know, that just it's like the peer pressure seems to be weighing more on people's minds than the actual law.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And people still are so willing to trust what they're hearing, trust the fear, trust the selling points. So this is just more opportunities for people to start seeing the fractures of the veneer.
Mhm.
So um, it's big times. It's big times, and it is so nice to step back from it and not have to worry about every little new thing that is coming on, and you know, um, stepping away from the news. I mean, Dolores said that, what, over 2 decades ago, turn off the TV. If you want to, get some inner peace and freedom, turn off the TV. Because
So true.
it is, very, very addictive. Also, what I wanted to say is in one of our recent sessions, pardon me, I can't recall if it's public or private. I really get a strong sense it was public. But you know, um, that there's that. So anyway, what was said in the sessions was that they're going to be asking us to do something in our region, they're going to be asking us to do something that is wherever we are in the world, it is really purposeful. And when we do what they need us to do, it will be really great, and that is coming up. And it was very clear it's the people that are listening to these sessions, they're going to all be asked to do something, and it's really significant for the areas to be able to be of service. This is why they keep drawing more people into listening to these sessions. So it was very obvious then, after doing this session today, which was asking everyone to hold space in the area and expand themselves out and embrace the cocoon of the planet, to love all. I felt like there was a really beautiful opportunity for everyone to give back a little bit of your time and intentions. Now, Erin said that she did it, felt nothing, no tingles, no jazz hands, nothing. But she said she put it in as good intentions to be able to be of service. So, are you still wondering are you a dad,
Well,
Erin, or were you of service?
I am of service. No, I definitely felt like, what was it? Yeah, I was in like a really peaceful trance, and definitely, well, I'm always feeling electric. So I definitely, tingles, trance, whatever. But I'm not visual. I don't get visuals. So I was like thinking of myself on the map, and then like trying to picture like a bubble of some sort expanding, but I can't like actually feel other people. I mean, you have a empathic point of view, I have a non-empathic point of view of this, so I just wanted to just check and see if I did it right, really. Like, I can't actually empathically feel other people that are doing the same thing, and so I just pictured myself as a bubble and then, like, expanding, like, on the map, and that's all I could do. I mean, w did I do it right, or should I have done it differently?
No, I think you did great. I think you did perfect. I think if you listen to it again, you may do things a little bit different or exactly the same. I think whatever you're drawn to is exactly perfect for you. I am surprised. I thought you would have been tripped up with the whole, well, what is the shape of the planet actually you want us to hold? Give us those details. Um,
Oh, that's on my new Earth list, don't worry.
I knew it. I think we've covered that quite a few times, and the reality is, who effing cares what the
Yeah,
shape of the planet is, right? Like, that is not a
yeah.
purposeful debate, to have, if it's dividing people's belief systems. If it is a shaped like a pretzel, fantastic, love it, and be at one in peace with it. Anyway, so yeah, so well, what I was sensing when I was doing it was again this beautiful piece, which was fantastic, and then just expanding out into my region. I could just sort of feel that I could just go the whole way around the world, across the world, whatever the shape of the world is, and then bring it all in and sort of like shrink the world down so it was a tiny little cocoon in front of me. And I actually was holding my hands out in front of myself when I was doing the channeling, and it was just like this embracing, like fully protected, fully nurtured. And while I know that others were doing this too, with the planet's physical body, and with the, acknowledging and honoring the soul of the of our planet as well. I knew that everyone was going to give it their like little flavor and love and taste, and we're not, no one's going to drop the ball. I mean, even if you did, it's purposeful, I'm sure. But however you did it was the best for you. And so I had brought it in, and it made the world really small, and I was just supporting it fully with my what I felt like was also my physical body and also my energetic body. So it was kind of like when you have a big problem and you want to fix things, try and make the problem smaller. See things from the bigger perspective. So I became the bigger perspective. I became the bigger being to be able to support and nurture her in her full totality. So she wasn't so big that I was like, oh, how am I going to carry this bad boy? It was like shrink her down, hold her, support her, love her, acknowledge her, and really just support her through this, and carry the weight. Even though it was weightless, because it was all just in my mind, but it was more like, and I'm just going to love you. I'm just going to hold you now. I'm just going to love the entire thing of you. And it's totally possible for me to just love the entire part of you and support everything. It's not gonna, I was in such a balanced and beautiful, like really calm space that it was just it was easy. It was easy just to kind of just love it all. Where from, and this is why we're really having this conversation now, is afterwards I felt afterwards, I felt a little bit spacey, as I kind of normally do as I'm coming back in to my body and to my dishes and my life. And so then I was noticing that I had this really weird pressure over my heart, and I could really, it was like my pericardium was kind of tight, and it was really interestingly noticeable, and it was almost kind of like quite a heavy pain, but it wasn't like a sharp pain or a concerning pain, but I was very, very aware that I had this weight on my heart, and I just was thinking, this is really strange. What next? What else are we supposed to be doing? I thought that this work that we had done was done and dusted this morning, and so I just sort of laid there, and I was just wondering what else is happening to the body, because I'm not going to go into fear, because I know, once you start going into fear, then panic kicks in, and then the adrenals kick in, and then, you're really fighting the body with its reactions, because the body wants to go in a different way from your mind. That's an extra battle you don't really want to sort of have into it. So keep the adrenals out of out of the equation. Do not invite them to the party. Invite common sense to the party, because he's fun and cool, and makes you look fun and cool. And so anyway, so I was noticing that, and so I was trying to figure out what is actually going on here. And what I discovered was this. So Gaia has always said that she's loved all her children, and Gaia has always said that she has loved every part about herself, because she is this big advanced being, really, and she is quite comfortable with who she is. And here we are as light workers who have come here to be of service, to love all of humanity and support and guide, and be these great support teams for everything that has happened here, to lighten the load for not just humanity but for Gaia. And as empaths, we do not want to think about certain things like the Holocaust, wars, famine, anything like that. No, thank you. I would rather rip off my skin than have to think about anything in the past and the history that has that density to it, that trauma to it, that horrible, feeling. It's too dense. I would not ever want to go there. So I would only focus on positivity, love, and light, and try to keep my emotions and balance everything that way. Now what I realize is everyone did that. well, not everyone, but most people, it was too much to think about and give service and love to all those super dense areas because of all those super dense reasons. Because as empaths, and because when we're still a little bit judgy, we do want to go into that frustration of how dare Hitler do this and how dare that person do this and this situation. We want to get into that victim mode, that frustration mode, that woe is me, what mode, this life is so hard, it's so unfair, those poor people, those poor victims. We will jump into that, then be actually of service what we're here for, to have no judgment, to love everything in terms of sending positive healing energy and upliftment, rather than just go shame Germany, shame, like all of that nonsense. And maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but can only speak for myself, but like I know fantastic German people and I really appreciate them, but we all know the history that's happened there, which is still kind of confusing for us. Like, how did that happen? Why did people let that get away with that so much? That sounded very interesting times, so when it just seemed too heavy and you can't do anything because it's in the past, right? Supposedly it's in the past, because we all think that time's linear, and so we don't deal with it. It's in the closet. And I think that part of humanity's inner work and part of Gaia's inner work is releasing that stuff that is in the closet. But many of us light workers don't want to think about that crap, don't want to think about those things. Oh, that's going to take us out of our now moment, isn't it? Yeah, well, we're supposed to get out of our freaking now moment to be of service. And sometimes it asks us to go back and be able to energetically heal things that have been traumatizing, not just for humanity, but also this planet. And so, we have been building up and building up and building up our balance and harmony and strengthening ourselves and empowering ourselves, giving over our own crap from 3D to be of true service. And that session that we did, the sound healing with Sandy, was a beautiful gift, a beautiful gift. If you've ever lost your inner peace or ever will lose your inner peace, go back to that one. It will give you that inner peace. Even just thinking about it brings me into a nicer position of not so passionate about this heightened state of what's going on for humanity at this time. But so anyway, what we really did, and I really think there was 2 people that messaged me within minutes of each other when I woke up this morning, saying certain situations in history haven't been cleared and sorted out. Could I be open to helping? And bless these people. They're not asking me about their own personal stuff. They're actually caring enough about humanity and see, oh, actually, has this been covered before? Like they're actually genuinely concerned about certain countries or certain events that have impacted and are impacting people a lot. So for those people who care about humanity so much and consider humanity so much and actually messaged me to remind me, actually, this stuff still needs to be dealt with. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Because I'm one person that's trying to think of all the things that we can cover and haven't covered, and it's of significance and importance. And yes, I know everything is divine timing and everything is all organized and it's beautiful synchronicities and all that sort of stuff. But I love that this is really effectively teamwork when people want to help. And I love that I'm always open for people helping and suggesting ideas and things I haven't considered before, because it's important. I don't want to miss big gaps. I'm still, like that whole thing with not even considering like the witches, and then here we are, just today giving profound healing to those from the Holocaust and from wars and all this stuff, and releasing Gaia from that density to be able to just love it and accept it and heal from it. Like, it's busy times.
So, Um, 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 so however people visualized it or whatever they experienced with, as long as they had the good intention and the pure intention, it made the difference, right? I just
Absolutely.
wanna
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
I just wanna go
sorry.
over that.
Yeah, oh yeah.
No, 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 it's we have such different perspectives, and I think
Yes.
us having this conversation is purposeful, but I just, because yeah, everything you said was super intimidating and not in my wheelhouse, but, I and I think other people probably feel the same way. So just as long as we have the pure intention and however we visualize it is how we visualize it. And
Mm,
because we are conduits of this, right? Like we are grounding this with our help from our higher dimensional friends.
mhm.
So however that looks like for us is okay with the best intentions, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And the more you've done your inner work, the more you're going to be more open to more energy. And that's been of more service. So, that's fantastic. And of course, when we are helping others, our teams want to help us even more. It's a win-win-win-win-win situation. Blows my mind where people can't see that and they get stuck along the way. So yes, so wherever your location is when you've done this, it's significant. You are the pinpoint for that. And I want to make a joke, and it's not even appropriate. It's highly offensive, but your land where you're on, it's had a little bit of history, hasn't it, my friend? Just in terms of civil wars, and didn't you have some natives that have not been treated as well? I mean, every country has had natives that have not been respected.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm not even defending anything that's happened here. It's just, yeah. It definitely needs some TLC right now, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, we don't know what's happened 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 500 years ago on the property of, our beloved houses, our communities, so, and not that we even need to know the details and get bummed out about all of that. We are here now. We are living on this planet now. And so we are of service now. And, I love, love, love all these people who have gotten themselves out of their sticky 3D lives and have seriously stepped up and are doing these things for humanity and for Gaia, for themselves, like huge gold stars coming your way.
Absolutely. Love it.
Doesn't it just make you feel so good? Like people just seriously love and want to love others and want to help complete strangers, like
Yes. And I really think a lot of people are so grateful for the homework assignment because they are so genuine with their intentions and they want to do more and they want to do more. And I just love that this has given all of us a clear direction of what else we could be doing to help. And I think it's just awesome all around.
Yeah. If we ever get stuck on something in a trigger, always try and remember different perspectives may give you different solutions and be able to set you free from those triggerings. Remember the husband with the dusting.
Yes.
And now I just shared with you my perspective of different parenting styles, but still super valid. But I was hung up on only seeing it my own one way, and we've all done that. I'm not a special, unique, retard unicorn. Like I've fucked up plenty of times, but I can own them now because I know that that was a learning experience to be able to overcome, and learn and grow from it. I would be a jerk if I kept making the same mistakes, but we don't have that much time to keep being bunny hopping around.
Yeah, no. Um, can we talk about body situations going on right now?
Yeah.
I I bet a lot of people are going through so many weird things right now, and yeah, I'm with you guys on all of it. I am only able to sleep like 4 hours now, and then I'm just up. And I am having a hard time with anything that's not liquid. Even soup is giving me problems. So like there's a lot going on. I've always see I transmute energy, so I soak up denseness and then I transmute it. So I've had the electric feeling this whole time, but now it has intensified. So I bet a lot of people are going through that, and it's just I don't know. What are you going through body wise? Just so people know that they're not like ill.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So while I've had the intensive locational humming within my body as if I'm connected to some sort of, I don't know, it's like energetically it's a buzzing electrical sparkle thing, and it kind of just vibrates and rotates, but my physical body doesn't move, but I can feel it energetically within, as if I'm getting like this warm electrical pulse current, something going on. So it started off, I noticed it on like my left foot, and I just thought, oh, maybe it's like a weird new pins and needles. God, I'm getting so old. Who knows what I can discover now with my body? And so it just kind of didn't go away, and then it kind of just grew up, and then it was kind of like in my root chakra area. I know it sounded like I said my root chakra area, and I did say that, and it's embarrassing, but it was interesting, the location. I was like, if someone had a vibrator, would this be what it feels? It's not in my lady parts or anything like that, but it's like just above it. So it's kind of like, oh, it doesn't give me stimulation, but it's like, that is interesting. It's the root chakra area, people. Very interesting. So yeah, I felt that for quite some time, as if you've got maybe like a phone on vibrates and silent kind of thing, but like internally within you. It sounds bizarre. I'm sure it's
Well, everything is bizarre at this point.
yeah.
So
It wouldn't be the professional terminology for whatever I'm experiencing. But when I asked about crystalline bodies, they showed me that was where the crystalline cord end, like it's anchored in there, and kind of that's the root of the crystalline body um, cabling, I guess is a terrible word to explain it with. But I think that was when we were asking about those full crystalline bodies being in the ships, and then we're still connected to them, like some sort of like electrical or cabling, and it is tied onto by the root chakra.
mm,
So
interesting.
I can't remember. I didn't listen back to that session. I just remembered experiencing that session. So don't quote me on that one. But what I wanted to say was why I was having huge heart pressure after that session is because it felt like, so I sort of had asked, and it is the pure love of, it's like, I know this is going to sound strange, but I'm just going to say it and judge away. It is like Gaia's heart was finally opened to the fact that others acknowledged her density where they'd never wanted to acknowledge it and help her. And they've been ignoring those areas because of the fact that it makes them feel dense and bad and sad from all of those events. And so for the fact that all of us went, loved her completely without the whole, oh, we'll love all of the planet, but all those places that have had like wars and murders, and we had no exclusion, we had full inclusion of her body as we were holding it as that cocoon. And that opened and expanded her heart because it was exactly what she's needed. She's needed that releasing. She's needing that help because she wasn't the one that had done that. That was not her. wars, it was not her density, it was not her traumas as such, but it impacted her in such a way that it did become her own traumas. And so, as we are conduits to energy, and we're ambassadors to humanity, or whatever titles you need to say, because we're in the because we're in the now moment and being able to heal her and be responsible for this land we are reaching energetically, we have taken responsibility of all the other people who have been here, including animals, including all sorts, who have done all sorts, and we have stepped up with pure love, with pure balance and harmony, and have supported Gaia's physical body and humanity and released all that no longer serves them when it comes to these crimes and this density. So the pressure that I felt on my heart was expansion. Even though it felt like it was contraction, it was like the pericardium was so rigid and so firm. It's the muscle around the heart, that was pushing. And when you have rigidity and you are expanding that, there's a pain there. And that was what I was feeling, was like the expansion of love and the releasing of some really sad things that no one's wanted to deal with, which Gaia literally needed help with, which we literally came here to help assist humanity. And we couldn't do it when the Holocaust, for example, was happening. It was too overwhelming. It was too successful in its agenda to do what it wanted to do for various reasons. And so each war has played out, and humanity and common sense has never sort of stepped up and won. And so again, we can change energetically what has happened to that land from this perspective. So any questions, Erin?
No, I love that. That was awesome. Just soaking up the brand new perspective. Like, wow, yeah, awesome.
I'm sorry, did you want to share that I had poo stories?
Oh my gosh, no, I cannot even. Like too soon. Can't talk about it. I can't even do soup. Like, and I got a nudge yesterday. Like, just stock up on freshly pressed juices, and I did. And like, I'm just committing to it because. And lots of water. I'm being good. I was really bad like 2 days ago and completely forgot water, despite the fact that that's ridiculous. All I drank was coffee all day. I had like a pot and a half of coffee. I don't even know. And Joe was like, "Oh my gosh, drink some water. It's so crucial."
Because you got into that rut where you're like, oh, I'm a little bit tired because they're not letting me sleep, and so I'll just have some more caffeine because caffeine will help me.
God.
And I'm like, it's gonna rape your body, and it's gonna be horrific. And you're like, I'm so tired. You were like almost on that.
I was like wiry.
Yeah, you're like tearful tired, but like zingy and jazz handsing, but like hating it.
Yes. And then you're like, oh my gosh, Erin, drink some water. I'm like, wow, I completely forgot water today. Yep. Okay.
What they're saying, Erin, now is they wanted you to get the juice, but they don't want you to drink just the pure juice. They're like, when you get bored of water and you get like forgetful of, I'm not motivated to drink this water, they're saying just put a little bit of the juice in there for some flavor, but don't go too crazy on it. But they're laughing at you now. They're like, who are not going too crazy?
I mean, they're probably always laughing at me. So,
well, like they're sort of like, well, use your free will. Obviously, it's all choices. But they're saying the reason why they wanted you to get the juices is to be able to have some mixing of flavors, because you're going to get real bored of water. But
yes,
you're not going to be able to. Yeah, but the real full juices are going to do some really intensive things to you as well. And so they're like, just be gentle with your fantastic Fantastic water. And yeah, it's like obviously you need to tattoo it onto your arm to drink water, my friend. But you will
So
start
true.
noticing, because what we do is think, oh, I feel so lethargic. I'm just going to have a little bit of a sugar boost or a little bit of a caffeine boost or something that is so not your friend. Common sense is like, excuse me, in
Oh, I
what
know.
world is
I'm like, I
sugar?
don't know you right now. You don't exist.
It's
I
like,
can't see you, so you're not here.
it's going to Facebook and it's hovering the unfriend button.
Yeah, I know. Oh gosh, it's so true. It's so true. I don't know why, like I'm just like I can't get out of my own way half the time. I'm like, oh, I'll just drink a pot and a half of coffee because I'm tired. Oh, yeah, that's
But
good.
it's reminding you, and you're it's these, we can hear all this information, profound information, um, easy as they just keep talking and we just keep listening. It's really easy thing to do. What is extremely hard is actually applying it in our daily lives. And this is why when they wanted the comments to be taken off the videos, they said, don't distract yourself with comments. We're taking the video comments off. We're not even going to give you the descriptions or the title. Just frickin' with much love, listen to these sessions. This is the most important sessions you need to listen to if you're serious about enhancing your way of life, your quality of life, your peace and harmony, and actually prepare you for what's going to happen forward. Take this as serious lessons and do yourself a favor and take notes, because you're not just listening. Oh, I'm going to doze off. Oh, how much have I slept through? Whatever. They're actually saying take it as a lecture, but not a boring one. But because sometimes when I listen back to it, Erin, I'm like, it's an hour and there's 17 huge concepts that they've just exploded with verbal speed, all of this information, and it's so fast. How on earth are people supposed to be able to grasp the first 12 and still remember the next 5? It's so much
It's a lot.
information.
It's so layered too. And I know we talk about this a lot, but I mean, I listen to every session at least twice. That's a lot, but I do because it's so layered and they there's so much there. You might not hear it the first time. I mean, you might. I don't. I need to hear it more than once to
Mm.
hear the bullet points, what they're saying. If I feel like there's more, I'll drill into it even more. I myself am you know audible with this. Other people like you just mentioned notes, and they mentioned before a bunch of like the serious listeners take notes and like review their day, and it's just so awesome. Just however you could soak it all up, but it is so layered, all
Mm.
of it. I'm still like, wow, how do they do that? But
Yeah.
yeah,
A beautiful client the other week was saying how she sort of like listens, like she's a super busy person, and so she sort of listens like every sort of like 5-10 minutes throughout the day, the whole session. So it will take her the whole day to listen to it, but she just gets these little nibble bits. And I think it's actually a lot more easier to like have a few nibbles of the cake rather than sitting there and trying to digest the whole fucking thing and not look overwhelmed with all of that content.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
It's a lot. It's awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, I think for everyone who's up to date with these sessions and is on this journey with us, I mean, hello, that's epic. Like, that is remarkable, and I'm so grateful because this, as I've just explained, this profound healing of Gaia, supporting of Gaia, acknowledgement of humanity, and having love for humanity, and still not, we still don't notice the difference now with our maturity, because we're not blaming people for their roles in humanity. We're not blaming anyone, actually. We're actually fully capable of being responsible for our choices and decisions that we've made in our life. And anyone that's bothering us or triggering us, there's still more inner work for us to see what is the the root, where is our missing perspective or our higher perspective that will give us that balance and harmony.
Hmm. That was a nice little bow you did right there.
Nice. Nice. Okay, well, I love having these conversations with you because I know that as we have been told in sessions, this is part of our duty to be able to, have these open friend conversations and record them, knowing that other people will, really appreciate, obviously the fine class humor that I seem to weave in.
Yeah, in our very interesting lives. Like Real Housewives, watch out. Talk about tea in Downton Abbey for like months on end.
Like, I'm sorry for like bringing up the whole like tooth fairy charm thing, but like if you were like in our house for those dark days, I
On the next episode.
yeah, 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 yeah. It was, but you know what? Like talking about that, it was, their father who had like placed the charm in the second one, and then he realized, oh, there was a mistake. The old Joe would have been like, oh, well, there is therapy that they will have to have then. Like, how dare you expect that they will cope with, they both brushed their teeth. It was valid tooth stuff, like I would have gone to town on how this would have impacted our children and really gone overboard with it, and this would have been another reason why he doesn't listen and doesn't get it and blah 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 blah, all the stuff that I'm trying to convince myself that he is doing, which is completely, how I think he didn't even realize it was in the container and so it slipped under with the cash, and so he wasn't trying to give our children, one child something different from the other. And, like, I'm so grateful that I can just support my children through this and blame artwork or lack of artwork and, work through it together and be able to remind them that things aren't always the fair or equal, but we are grateful for what we do have, reminding them of these things rather than, blaming adults for stuff. So yeah, sorry for the, super mundane life that I have, but I want to kind of just embrace how much I am a better family member because I'm so much more accepting of everyone and including myself. And this has just eased off my worries so much. I can't even comprehend. The old Joe
So
in
true.
this current world would be a nightmare to deal with.
Oh my goodness. Yes, preach. We are all on board with that. Yep.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for listening to this point. Thank you, Erin, for sharing and always being able to help me be open to be able to express the behind the scenes of these sessions, because while it is amazing to get that higher perspective from high dimensional beings, there is that kind of lack of translation of what it really means and how it really applies. And I guess the more you get to sort of know me as just being average, just a girl Joe in New Zealand, then you realize when she's channeling, it's not just her trying to, be smart or profound or whatever. That's absolutely 100% not me, and it is purely because of the channeling information from our high collectives. So big shout out to the Victorians. So yeah, anyway, it's all just
Awesome.
very raw and real. Okay, thank you so much. I love you.
Yes. Have a great night. I'll talk to you later.
Cool. Bye.
All right. Bye.